story worth hearing. Everyone has something that makes them them. Tune in and learn the rich history of the everyday person around you. Only on People We Know and Stories We Don't. Exclusively on KDN Radio every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. People We Know and Stories We Don't is lovingly dedicated by the network in memory of Sarah Chana Bas Mendel Colbert. May her soul have an elevation in heaven. Okay, and we are here with People We Know and Stories We Don't. Today's guest is none other than Yosef Daniel, famous singer of Open Your Eyes, Ana Bekoach, as well as Lost in You. So we'll get
Yeah.
into those a little bit soon. But first, you are located in the holy country of Israel. Israel, how is it over there?
Wow, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. It's good to be back. We were actually in America for about 9 months, and just about almost 2 months. We're back. We're back home. So I can tell you right now that it's really good to be back. We were here in Israel for 9 years, and made a lot of friendships and had a lot of kesher with the community here in Ramat Beit Shemesh. So it's definitely good to be back. And it's nice and fresh out here right now, so the weather's good. We're in I don't want to say good spirit, but, we're good moods, right before
Hmm.
the Chag Shavuot. It's Matan Torah time, man. It's a good time.
Yeah, I remember being in Israel for Shavuos 6 years ago. I did birthright and then stayed for the summer. And the view of the Kotel from the rooftop of Aish at
Oh,
watching the sunrise Shavuos morning, packed with people learning and starting chakras, absolutely phenomenal. And then going to Kever David Hamelach, whom I'm named after, was a very emotional moment for me that I'll never forget.
wow. Wow, that is amazing. Well, the video. First of all, I went to Asia Torah when we first moved to here when we made Aliyah, um, 10 years ago, something around there, a little bit over 10 years ago.
Hmm.
We made Aliyah, and I was going to Aish, we were living in Yerushalayim and Katamun, and was going to the essentials program with Rabbi Yontov Glazer.
Hmm.
Yontov Glazer. So good times, man. I know what you're talking about. It's being able to be close to the Kotel every day and just davening, mincha and things like that. When I was going to H was a big, big, big deal. Wow, there's so much to talk about. Now that you mentioned those two places, the Kotel and the Kever David Melech, those were my two go-to spots. I mean, it was just like I spent so much time there. So good times, man. I'll explain a little bit about some of those times.
Okay. So tell us where you come from.
So okay, so I was actually born in Mexico. It was kind of an accident. Um, Not that I was born, but that I was born in Mexico. Whoops, honey, we had another accident. So but no, Baruch Hashem, I was born there. I believe, Hashem has a great sense of humor because I would have never dreamed of living from Mexico to Eretz Israel is like it's a huge jump.
Hmm.
But I was born there in 1981, and I grew up in South Texas. My father was in the the United States Air Force. My mother was born and raised in Mexico, and so so I was born in Mexico, and they went back to Texas, and I grew up there in Corpus, South Texas, a city called Corpus Christi, Texas. So,
Okay.
mhm.
So, what brought you to Israel? How do you manage that?
Wow. So, um, I grew up actually in a Christian home. I didn't grow up Jewish, but I did grow up from, as my wife likes to say. Well, my wife was her parents were leaders, in the church, and her family, aunts and uncles and grandparents were leaders in this church that we grew up in. This group, this church, this group, um, was this denomination was called the Church of God Seventh Day, and it was like kind of as far as the research that I've done on it, it's like a spin-off of the Seventh Day Adventist. Um, you know, and so there was a really, there was a lot of emphasis and a lot of focus on the Sabbath, Shabbat. As we grew up, as far as we knew, right, keeping Shabbat, meaning that, like, for example, we didn't work Friday night, until Saturday sundown. That's the Friday sundown until Saturday night. We weren't allowed to go shopping. We weren't allowed to work. We were told, I wasn't allowed to be in sports. That's why I'm not that big and strong. You know, because I didn't play football. But that's how we grew up. And you know, basically, long story short, series of events, you know, we we came to Yiddishkeit, um, and um, and started learning Torah. And my wife's parents, my in-laws, were very instrumental. Uh, you know, I don't think they would have been you know that much of a search, for trying to find the truth in Judaism if it weren't for their guidance. And we eventually, converted and made a deal with the Beit Din in Houston, Texas. And we made our way as quick as possible. Made Aliyah about 5 months after we finished our conversion process.
Wow, that is a really beautiful story.
Yeah.
Um,
Baruch Hashem.
so what got you into Jewish music?
Wow, Jewish music. From I, I'm pretty sure, from the beginning of our journey, that was one of the first things that I looked into because as a musician, you know, that's how I connected. When I was growing up, um, in the church, we had an organ player, like a piano organ, more like an organ player, and that's how we sang our our weekly, songs. And then what happened was it was like right at a very very good time that I that our group our these our youth in the church started a guitar group. And I'll talk a little bit about that time in my life. But basically, I joined the guitar group, and so I've always had that's always been my connection, my spiritual connection and my godly connection, so to speak. So when we started the journey into Judaism, that was one of the first things that I looked for, and I came across Moshav Band, and I was like, yeah, this is cool, so yeah, it's music connects your neshama, to Hashem, uh, and if it's used, for that reason, music can have a great influence and a great impact on your mood, on your belief, on anything, that you carry, any emotion, feeling, it can have a great impact. So,
Hmm.
mhm.
In a moment, we're gonna watch the music video "Open Your Eyes."
Uh-huh.
What can you tell us about the story behind that song?
Okay. So, open our eyes, and it's first of all, uh, this producer, his name is Israel Laub, that produced the song. We recorded it in Jerusalem, and it was one of the first, songs that I did with this kind of a style. Just a very nice, simple, kind of a pop style. But it was the studios was located next to this the Mir Yeshiva, and I guess as a songwriter, I kind of try to uh, catch those vibes, of just learning Torah, and just that area was just very packed with kedusha, and it came very very naturally. So that's behind the scenes, so to speak, came from the heart. It's a tefillah, it's a prayer, it's a asking Hashem to open our eyes, um, because you know sometimes, especially, I mean, we're still in Gullus, we're still in Galut. So we do our effort, and we do what we do, as Bnei Israel. Um, but Bnei Israel was also doing everything in their power, everything possible, you know, during Galut Mitzrayim. But Hashem had to open our eyes, even in Mitzrayim. And that's why almost every mitzvah that we do, Shabbat, Kiddush, I mean, Zecher Litziat Mitzrayim, we say that a lot, Zecher Litziat Mitzrayim. And Hashem heard our cry. Hashem heard our cry. And with all these wonders and all these miracles, Hashem started waking us up and opening our eyes, and helping us realize that Einod Milevado, that there's only Hashem, that Parod, you know, and Amalek, and all of you know uh, the powers that be, in this world, um, don't have any power, over Am Yisrael.
Hmm.
So open our eyes is tefillah, that in our generation, that we should have our eyes, open, and that Hashem's malchut. Tonight we count, malchut shebe malchut. It's a perfect time to speak about that, because that's what we need. We need, so the song says, open our eyes and let your kingdom come. And then the world will realize that you're one and there's none else but you, Kadosh Baruch Hu. So very, very nice song. That actually video was recorded in two very specific locations. One here very close to home, very unique and very special place, which is called Emek Hayela. And uh, the the uh, the video of me looking down at Emek Hayela, that's the area, the the valley of Ella, which is where David Amelech and Goliath battled, the famous battle of David Amelech and Goliath. And so, I figured, since we live so close, why not, make a video there. And so that place that you look at in the video, that whole area where I'm walking around, um, is the place called Tel Azeka, which is the mountain atop on the side where David Amelech posted he basically they posted a military fortress. Um, and that's where, uh, down in the valley, on the other side, is where the Plishtim posted their military fortress. So I'm on the side where David Amelech was with the IDF at that time, you know. And then it spins off into the rooftop of Asia Torah, which you mentioned. So, and overlooking the Kotel Maravi, uh, very 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 special locations. Baruch Hashem.
Hmm. All right,
Yeah.
let's take a look at that video.
I'm Yosef Daniel. I once lived in darkness. Hashem gave me His light. My mission now is to spread this light. Join me.
Open our eyes and let your kingdom come, come. You revive the broken, you give life to the poor. You illuminate my essence, you're what I'm looking for. And I found you now, yes I found you now. Before I lost myself completely, yes I found you now. You're reviving our hearts, you're the life we long for. You're igniting salvation, you refresh, you restore. Open our eyes and let your kingdom come, and then the world will realize that you're one, and there's none else but you. I got a Baruch open our hearts and let Geula spark the greatest excitement, and we will sing and dance before you. I got a Baruch. Revive the broken, you give life to the poor. You illuminate my essence, you're what I'm looking for. And I found you now, yes I found you now. Before I lost myself completely, yes I found you now. You're reviving our hearts, you're the life we long for. You're igniting salvation, you refresh, you restore. Open our eyes and let your kingdom come, and then the world will realize that you're one, and there's none else but you. I got a Baruch. Open our hearts and let Geula spark the greatest excitement, and we will sing and dance before you. I got a Baruch.
Wow. Wow, that is amazing. It
Sure. Baruch
definitely
Hashem.
is a whole different spin on it, knowing the story of the song and the story of the location of the shooting. A whole different spin on it. And I gotta say, you
Yeah.
got some pretty sweet dance moves in there.
Listen, man, my wife is a dance teacher, okay, and she has, she was a director of a dance school here, in Bachemish, very very well known school here locally, and I was just being myself. So when I put the video out, her girls were asking, did you choreograph that? She's she was like, no, I didn't choreograph any of that stuff. It was just me having fun and just showing Hashem gratitude. I
Hmm.
mean, as much as I could, as much as I could. I wish I could, fly, you know, to thank Hashem, just how much I feel inside. Because uh, you and I gave you a couple of details. I came from a pretty dark place. Uh, Baruch Hashem, had the opportunity, to learn Torah. When I was searching and searching and searching for something throughout my life, even though I had a religious, upbringing, um, and I played music and in this, in the in the church and everything like that. And it was filling emotionally, but there was something missing. I always felt like there was something really, really missing and something really wrong with the picture, you
Hmm.
know. And uh, just for me personally, um, and so the dark place that I'm talking about is, when I was 14 years old. Um, I got a phone call to my house as a collect call. That time, we had these collect calls. So I answered the phone, and um, this gentleman came on the line and said a name that I never recognized. That I didn't know anybody that would be calling collect call. And so I passed the phone to my mother, and I told her the name. She says, "Oh, it's your uncle." I said, "My uncle." So she spoke with him for a while, and then she came into my room afterwards, and she says, "Listen, your uncle is in a federal penitentiary here in the U.S. Um, you know, and I said, what do you mean? Like, what?" She says, "Yeah, your uncle, he's been one of the top drug dealers, transporting drugs from Mexico into the U.S., for the past whatever years, and he got caught, and I was just like, what? You know, as a child of 14 years old, I could imagine, you know, something like that. So, you know, it's I'm the only Jew in my family. You know, um, it's we both know what it means to learn Torah. And to have that zehut. For me, it's a big, big deal. Because that moment was a very it was like it was a break. There was like it was a very specific, like very, I was growing up, as a teenager, how hard it is, because you're trying to figure out yourself, you're trying to figure out what to do and how to do it. And my parents, were divorced when I was 9. So my father, my fatherhood, like my father figure was kind of a quiet, uh, you know, and in other words, you have when you have your parents guiding you and telling you, no, don't go hang out with those guys, and that kind of thing. when you have a father in the picture, I think it sometimes makes things easier when you have guidance. And even though my father was a great man, I just he he never, you know, said, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. He just kind of let me be, um, so I had friends that I grew up in school, and one of my friends, closest friends that I grew up in the church, mind you, um, he started selling drugs in the neighborhood at a very young age, just a few years older than me. And he was, what was I gonna do? He was my best friend. He was like a brother to me. And even though I always, tried to lecture him and things like that, of course it didn't bother him because he was making money at a very young age, and he started making a lot more money when he got into, bigger drugs. So, needless to say, I always battled, that environment versus my spiritual environment. I mean, there was times where, you know, we would have, church service and everything like that, and I would afterwards, go to his house, which was, you know, uh, a crack house. It was like crazy stuff would happen, and I mean, just so many stories and things that, that even on my own, um, besides my friendship with him or being around him, even on my own, just being in danger and things like that. It's just, it's like now having a family and having children, being able to raise them in Israel with chachamim walking around and rabbis and people that are seeking, to please Hashem, you know, is a big zechut, and it's a big
Hmm.
responsibility, to always show karat tov to Hashem. Every single breath that I take has to be, a thank you to
Hmm.
Hashem.
Absolutely. Um, you recently did a new song, correct?
Yes,
What can you tell us about
lost
that?
in lost in you. Oh my gosh, that was quite a project. Um, beautiful composition that was put together by um, Jason Glantz, Jason Goldglantz. Very cool dude. We become close friends. He is produced, for a few other Jewish artists as well. Gad Elbaz, and he's based in New York City. So, so uh, he sent me this beautiful song, and I work with um, a British producer, very close friend as well here in Israel. His name is Freddie Fabian. So he did the post production on the track, meaning that he added some elements, he mixed it, he mastered it here in Bet Shemesh. So that's the story behind the production of it. Um, by the way, the other track as well, uh, "Open Our Eyes," the video that we just saw. Jason did some guitars on it, very cool guitars. You can hear it. Um, I just pretend to play the guitar parts on the video. Um, but he did the guitars. His record company is called Gold Records LLC. And Freddie also uh, helped with the arrangements of it a little bit, and the editing, added some beautiful strings that you hear on there. Freddie Fabian, FJ Music, and he also mixed and mastered that song as well. So he is my mixing and mastering guy for the other tracks that I get from Jason with Gold Records, or be Little Box Records, which, by the way, Little Box Records is also responsible for some of Nissim Black's material, some of the early material. So I'm in good hands. Baruch Hashem.
All right, well, let's give a listen to that.
Mhm.
I called out in the midst of my pain. I tried so hard to finally find my way. I reached out, and your fire brought the cleansing rain. Inside I knew you were with me every step of the way. You found me, lost in my regrets and longing to amend. And you found me, surrounded by the clouds, captured by desire. You chose my love and you chose my heart for you. You found me, now I'm lost in you. I have my peace, my mind's at ease, my heart's content. I found amends in you. I breathe the deepest creed. Your presence is my greatest need. You found me, lost in my regrets and longing to amend. And you found me, surrounded by the clouds, captured by desire. You chose my love and you chose my heart for you. You found me, now I'm lost in you. You found me, you found me, I'm lost in you. You found me, you found me, lost in you.
Wow, the lyrics of that song just really get to you.
Nice. Yeah, it's there's a shiur by one of the rabbi that probably influenced me most to actually, you know, uh, keep the Torah and accept Hashem's invitation to
Hmm.
the Torah. We're about to accept Hashem's. We're about to, commemorate and accept it again. That the Torah and the mitzvot, and uh, there's a shiur by this rabbi. His name is Rabbi Eli Mansour. He's in the Syrian community in Brooklyn. Um, the number one influence for me embracing, Hashem, Judaism, 100%. And in the shiur, he talks about David Melech, of how David Melech, it says in the Tehillim Pelik 89, and in this parak, he says that David Melech says, it's he was speaking prophetically or speaking, Hashem was speaking through him. He says, I found David in Sodom, So the whole story there, it's a huge story. Sodom, like David Melech was never in Sodom, right? He was born in Bethlehem, right? So how is it that Hashem found David Melech in Sodom? Because uh, when the angels came to Avraham Avinu and asked Avraham Avinu, uh, "Chaye Sarai ishtecha," right? Those words, where's your wife? Hine ba'ochel. That's how Avraham Avinu responded. Hine ba'ochel. Um, very, very, very key words in the the culmination of the malchut of David Amelech. Um, because later when David Amelech came, there was a machloket with the Knesset if David Amelech was Raui to be the Melech Israel or not. Why? Because he came from Ruth HaMoaviyah. So the the machloket is David Melech Raui to be the king because he's coming from Ruth, who's a Moaviyah. She's a Moabite, right? She's
Hmm.
coming from Me'av. So who was those? Who was Ruth's descent? Who is she descending from? She's coming from Lot. She was coming from Lot. So the three malachim that came and asked Avraham Avinu, Ariyeh Sarah Ishtecha, was his response. Why was that a key response? Because the machloka was right. Are the women of Moab? First of all, we're not allowed to accept converts from Moab. We're not allowed to accept. They're not allowed to convert. But there's an exception, and it's a tradition from Shmuel and Avi. It says that, and this is why the book of Ruth was written, by the way. This was Shmuel and Avi's response to this machloket specifically, to prove that David Melech was worthy to be the Melech. Why? Because he says it's not the way of a woman to be out in public. So the claim on the Moabites is that Lot was saved. Lot was the nephew of Avraham Avinu, and the the nation of Moab comes from Lot, right?
Hmm.
But they didn't give food and water to Am Yisrael when we were passing through the desert.
You froze up. You still there?
And you couldn't give
Oh.
water, you couldn't give food, to Bnei Israel when they were passing by. You're
Hmm.
not allowed. You're not allowed to come into the kahal, right? But it's not the way of a woman to go out and to greet guests and to serve guests and to right. It's not. So why? So the key words are in about Avraham Avinu's response. This is a halachic question here.
Hmm.
When the Malachim came and asked Avraham Avinu, "Ayesara ishtecha," why is like how is a malach interested where Avraham Avinu's where Sarai Menu was? Does that make sense that a malach is gonna come to your house, and ask where's your wife? It's kind of a strange question. So this
Right.
is the Torah does not. It's not. It's not superfluous. Not every single letter, every single word is impacting. The entire mind.
Hmm.
So that is what this song is about. Because Hashem, it's saying he found if David Amelech was found in Sodom.
Right.
So that's where that from that shear, that's where that song comes from.
Wow. Um, who would you say that you look up to?
Oh, that's a good question. It's a really good question. Right now, I guess, as a as a Jewish artist, you know, trying to have Yirat Shamayim every day. I think I admire all the wrong side. Every Jew has, everyone that's trying. I get inspiration from, you know, from a lot of things. If you look around and look at the good points, like Baal Shem Tov, taught us that, to look at the good in every single Jew. And when you do that, you find a lot of inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but as an artist, I can tell you, uh, I look up to my brother Nissan Black, um, you know, because you know Mesirut Nefesh, it plays a big factor you know, and I see the the impact that he's having, and his direction, and how he's very focused, and his family is very focused as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say at the moment that would be my answer. He's he's someone that I admire. And Bezrat Hashem, maybe we'll work on something. We'll see.
Um, if you had the choice of who to do a music video with, or a song, or a concert, who would you who would you truly want to do something with?
I think you have that answer. Yeah, I would probably, um, you know, I would probably choose Nisim, uh, because I think we have a lot in common. First of all, but there's a lot of good energy, you know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, in his music, and I haven't, to be honest with you, I haven't seen him, live in concert. So I mean, I've seen his shows and everything, but to be there and to hear the music live, and you know, that would be a nice experience.
Mm-hmm.
So for sure him. I also like Yishai Rebo.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a. By the way, we used to Yishai Rebo and I used to do open mics in Yerushalayim, like back in his yeshiva days, man. So I met him, and back in those days when I was living in Yerushalayim, before he blew up into the mega superstar that he is now. Baruch Hashem. So so yeah, so and I like acoustic guitar, and so I think he would be I would love to do something with
Awesome.
him.
What stuff are you working on now?
Right now, well, it's kind of hard to say because I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, so to speak. Um, but mm, right now, I'm working on, like, I do want to um, make some music that can kind of generate, a large audience. Let's say, for example. So there's a couple of songs that I'm actually in the works of, but one of them is what I would call like a parv song. Like it's not a religious song, and it's neither obviously not you know a bad song. Uh, so it's like a kind of a party song, like not a not a really it's Spanish, and it talks about music. It talks about how music is like a way to lift your spirit and whatnot. So that's one that's in the works. there's another very beautiful tune that I just got some work, with Jason Goldglantz again, you know, um, working together with him with Gold Records in New York City. So he's working on it, and it's a song that's really very Taylor based kind of lyrics. Just I kind of want to be able to not just entertain, through music, but actually use it as a vehicle to connect to Hashem,
Mm-hmm.
and have others do that as well. So it's different when you're singing. Um, I don't know, when you music could either touch the heart or it could move the body. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of want to embrace both aspects. To have a nice rhythmic music that's not boring, right? But but also be able to touch the heart, like you said, with Lost in You. I think it kind of gives you that jam. I saw you vibing to the song. It has good vibes. It has good vibes. It's energetic. Within itself. It's not a dance track. Like that you would play. You know, in Meron or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it. I think it has good energy, and that's what I want to do. I want to be able to bring good tracks that also uh, direct. In other words, like it's like you're singing to Hashem. Like that song was just there was no audience but one. It's Hashem, and that's it. So this track is something like that, and it's really beautiful. So I'm looking forward to that one. I think it's probably going to come out before. And then I have another track called Higiazman, which I kind of posted an acoustic version before Pesach, just right before Pesach. I did a quick. I was so excited, about the song and finishing the lyrics and whatnot. So that's another one. So there's a few tracks going on, and of course, drum roll. Uh, Another music video, Bezat Hashem. Another music video. Um, we're still, talking which song would be the we're planning, which song would be the best one to make a music video to. I I vouch for 13, my song 13, which is kind of unique, but we'll see. This I think it's possible that Lost in You will be the one. You know,
Can you tell us about the song 13?
13 is um um I still had my own, you know, control over the direction, so to speak. Not that I don't have control over the direction, but I have more people involved that are advising me and giving me a little bit more of a direction into something more like engaging. You know,
Mm-hmm.
13 is like it's my own, like, well, between uh Freddie Fabian and I. The concept of the song, I did everything on my guitar. I wrote that song in our sukkah in Yerushalayim before we moved to Beit Shemesh. So it was like 2005 or 2000, yeah, 2005 or 2006, something like that. It was in that sukkot, and you know the first verse, the verses are in Spanish, and the style, genre wise, is more like a samba. It's like a dun, 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 dun. You could do it so much live. I'm just like dreaming of the day to have like a full band and like really rock that song out. So you have that first vibe, in Spanish, and then it just breaks into this grunge. We have like I recorded like a stack of electric guitar on it, and it's Odul Hashem Kitov Kilo Lamazdo. That's the hook. Um, so it comes in with a real thick, thick guitar. Like I said, I think I duplicated the guitar tracks maybe 5 or 6 times. So it's got a real thick sound, real rock sound. And then it goes back to the Spanish, second verse. Um, and then all of a sudden there's a breakdown, and then I come into this kind of like it's hip hop ish, and I do a little rap part on there, you
Hmm.
know, and then it cuts back into the rock, and then it finishes off with another little Spanish part, the genre, but I sing the 13 the Yag Midot, the Shlosh Esrei Midot, the 13 Midos of Rachamim, you know, Kel Rachum V'Chanun. And so that's what that song is really, a beautiful, rendition of like just kind of engulfs, takes everything into a nutshell. You know, I grew up with rap music, hip hop music. I followed, those three genres. Rock music, I grew up listening to Guns N' Roses, and I was a huge Guns N' Roses fan. Jimi Hendrix,
Hmm.
all these Reshaim. So, rock was a big influence, and of course, Spanish music. All my uncles, they sang, and I remember in Mexico, staying up till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, singing the Spanish mariachi, music with my uncles, things like that. So I grew up with a lot of music. So that is it's a synopsis. It's a
Okay.
collage.
Wrapping up, how can people find your music?
Okay. Um, I mean, it's on most major platforms: Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal. Yeah, I think most people use Spotify, and of course YouTube. So those are the main ones.
Okay. Anything you want to add before we wrap up?
Well, I mean, definitely, if anybody wants to book me for a Zoom, or for like a concert. I also do speaking engagements where I give over a little bit of my story, and that kind of a thing. So my email address, Yosef Daniel official at gmail.com. Um, email us, and I'm in Israel, but we have the Zoom right now. I hope this whole pandemic thing pans out. I hope it's but there's we there's everything right now is it's up in the air. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, this is where they can find my music, and you can reach me if you have any questions, if you have any comments, feel free to email me.
Awesome. All right, Yosef, thank you so much for joining us on People We Know and Stories We Don't. It was really great getting to know your story and the inspiration behind your music.
Thank
I
you.
wish you the best of luck with all your endeavors, and looking forward to hearing more productions from you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and good luck with your projects, and the studio, and you should have a lot of tzlacha, and Hashem should just continue to bless you, and we should see you soon here in Eretz Israel.
Amen, amen.